Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this press conference. I am Olav Njølstad, Director of the Norwegian Nobel Institute, and I will moderate this press conference with Mr. Terumi Tanaka, one of the co-chairs of Nihon Hidankyo, this year's Nobel Peace Prize laureate, and also Jørgen Vatne Frydnes, the chair of the Norwegian Nobel Committee. Before you ask your questions, please remember to identify yourself by name and affiliation. And please also remember that because of the numbers of journalists and reporters in this room, we can only allow each one of you one question. Before we open up for questions, I will invite the chairman of the committee, Mr. Frydnes, and Mr. Terumi Tanaka, to say a few opening remarks. So, Jørgen, would you like to start?
Welcome, and thank you all for coming. It is a true privilege welcoming Nihon Hidankyo, this year's Peace Prize laureate, to Oslo to receive the Nobel Peace Prize for 2024 for its efforts to tell stories, their testimonies, again and again, to create and uphold the nuclear taboo, a defense work against the use of nuclear weapons. We are really grateful to have so many hibakushas, the survivors of the atomic bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, with us today. And we are really honored to have Mr. Tanaka and his co-chairs here with us.
Mr. Tanaka, will you say a few words?
今回の受賞は私ども
So this awarding Nihon Hidankyo, the Nobel Peace Prize, was a surprise for us. So we didn't have any setup to receive that announcement. So at the time of the announcement, we were so surprised. All the hibakusha around the world, around Japan, were so surprised. And in this very short while, in this press conference and other events, we do our best to respond to your questions and to meet your expectations. And we are honored to have your questions in this international press conference.
Who would like to start? TV2. Yeah.
From TV2 Norway. To Mr. Tanaka, congratulations on the prize. What impact has this award of the Norwegian Peace Prize had on your organization so far, and what are your expectations for the future?
So, to be honest,
Nihon Hidankyo has worked for the abolition of nuclear weapons, yes, to creating a nuclear taboo. Yes, we ourselves believe that we have contributed to that. And we expected that the Nobel Peace Prize would be given to us. Actually, many times we have failed to receive the prizes when we were so excited to receive it. But this year, it came as a total surprise. And we believe that our work has been recognized by the Nobel committee, and through this award, our work has been recognized around the world. So the reason why we were receiving this award was that the situation in the world, the aggression by Russia on Ukraine, and with the threatened use of nuclear weapons, and also by Israel, the nuclear threat has been made on the people in Gaza. So the cruelty of nuclear attack might be repeated. So in this urgent situation, we feel so threatened that the use of nuclear weapons have been in use or referred to so lightly. And we're so sad, and we feel so threatened and dangerous. We are so old now, but we have been very frustrated about the situation. But this awarding of the Nobel Peace Prize to us is a surprise for us, but we are so happy that this will send out a big warning to the world, and also the young people will take over our work to protect their own future.
Okay.
So my name is Strømmen of Norwegian Broadcasting. Many countries say that nuclear weapons are necessary for their defense. But what is your message to these countries? Nuclear weapons, or the thought that nuclear weapons are necessary for defense leaders who think in this way is, well, when we look at nuclear weapons, can they really be used to protect people? Can countries really be protected by nuclear weapons? Can the lives and the assets of the citizens be protected by nuclear weapons? We do not believe they can. Nuclear weapons can never protect life or the property, the assets of the people. We are certain of this fact. Defense is not only about preserving territory, it is about preserving people's lives, their precious lives. And so for this reason, the use of nuclear weapons for the purpose of defense is something that we believe is completely unacceptable. This is something that we Hibakusha all believe. The concept of deterrence through nuclear weapons is something which just cannot make sense, we believe.
Then I think the young woman there from Ungdomsavisa.
I'm Ane Berland from ungdomsvisa.com, a Norwegian newspaper. My question goes to Mr. Tanaka. What do you hope that young people today can learn from the experiences of those who survived Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
For us, what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, well, what happens if these nuclear weapons are used on humans, on society? What kind of impact is there on people's lives if nuclear weapons are used? We have witnessed and experienced this ourselves, and from this experience we know that nuclear weapons cannot be possessed and cannot be used. We have continued to cry this message to the world. Unfortunately, however, we are becoming more and more aged, and as the committee chair mentioned as well, one day there will be no longer any of us alive. And so knowing that this kind of day will come, but knowing what will happen if these nuclear weapons will be used, I think that, well, young people need to really understand what nuclear weapons are and think about, can these really be used to protect anything? I think perhaps people are not thinking yet seriously enough about this. I do question this point. Therefore, for us, we do not have so many days or years left in our lives as well. Therefore, we are putting all of our efforts into doing what we can to spread the message that nuclear weapons and humanity cannot coexist. This is what we would like to convey to young people. And nuclear weapons, whether they exist or not, whether they are used or not, This is a question for the future, and this is a question that will impact the future of all young people today as well. So we hope that young people can together make all efforts together with us, the Hibakusha, to convey this message.
Hi, I'm Karina Holmberg from the Swedish Broadcasting Company. A question for Mr. Tanaka. I wonder, when you think about the future, what is your hope and thoughts, what the next generation can do or should do to maintain your important work when your generation is not able to tell anymore?
For me, my expectations and hopes for the future is based on that. And so I believe that young people need to have hope in themselves as well, to have an abundant society where lives are valued fully. This is the kind of society that I hope young people can have the hope and certainty that they will be able to create this kind of future. I think holding this hope to heart is so important. Therefore, of course, if we do not have hope, then we will just go with the flow of the times and humanity will head towards its end. I think that even before looking at, for example, humanity may come to its end even before climate change brings these kind of devastating impacts. Therefore, I think especially for young people, knowing that the future is in your hands, it is you who will be creating the future. This is what I would like to put my words to the young people.
AFP.
Thank you. Pierre Day from AFP. You mentioned two current threats, the one made by Russia in Ukraine in connection with the full-scale invasion. You also mentioned the Israeli threat against Gaza and the Gaza people. Could you please be more specific and elaborate a bit on that threat? Thank you.
As a Hibakusha and someone who has done my most as a leader of the Hibakusha movement, I'm not a politician, so to speak in detail about the relations or the situation in Ukraine and Russia is not something that I can do from a political stance. However, as I have mentioned, we need to look at how to ensure that life is held as the most valuable, to make sure that the people of both countries, of all countries concerned, can raise their voices also to ensure to both of their countries that nuclear weapons, and also to create a society, a situation where these weapons, any kind of weapons, do not have to be used and where new relations can be built. I would like to have some kind of hope towards this. Other than that, there is no other way to resolve these issues. Whether it's these kind of course, there are many territorial issues and these kind of things as well, but these are not things which can be resolved simply. The only way is for humans to come together and find a way to live in equality together. And for looking at the citizens' perspective, to ensure that the feelings and the hopes of the people are at the center. I think this is the only way.
朝日新聞の花房です。改めましてこの度はご視聴おめでとうございます。1977年に円錐金禁止の世界大会で初めてスピーチをされて、いよいよ明日ノーベル平和賞の授賞式でスピーチをされることになります。この間スピーチの原稿だったりさまざまな準備を進めてくる中で、どんな方々の顔が浮かんでこられたか、どんな思いがその方々の思い出として田中さんの頭や心の中に浮かんできたか、もしよろしければ具体的なお名前を挙げてお話しいただけますでしょうか。
先ほど今紹介いただきましたけれども、私が被爆者としての運動といいますかね、核兵器をなくしていこう、核兵器を使わせないようにいこう、それからもう一つは私たちがその戦争の犠牲にあってさまざまな被害を受けているわけですけれども、そういうものに対する救済とかですね、そういうものが国にあるんだ、責任は国にあるんだと。戦争を開始していくのは国ですから、国家ですから。だからそれによって被害を受けた者に対する償いは国が行わなければいけないんだということを叫び続けて、 その一つの被害であった原爆の被害をやはり国、あるいは世界の体制が救済すべきだというふうに言ったわけですけれども、この運動の中に参加したのが1977年から今日まで、本当に、私にとっては電力を、使って運動してきたつもりです。それでもなおかつ今の状況しか生まれてきていない。で、その過程でですね、やはり何十人何百人という仲間が亡くなっていきました。特に私がこう指で数えてみてもですね、一人40年近く、50年近くなりますけれども、一緒に運動した人たちは7、80人は間違いなくいる。その人たちの名前をここで挙げるということはできないし、顔も名前を思い出す人たちだけでもですね、7、80人の人たちがいる。その人たちは今もこの世にいません。本当に力を絞って運動したけれどもいません。その人たちの意思をですね、若い人たちに伝えるのはもう、本当に少数残っている体験者と運動をやってきた人たちだと、若い後継ぎもいますよ、そういう人たちの努力を期待しなくちゃいけないんですけれども、思い出す人というのは大変申し訳ありませんけれども、名前を挙げる人数ではありません。
So just naming these people is not possible in this short while. Yes, there are too many.
First there, over there.
My name is Corina Negre. I'm coming from Radio Romania. Congratulations, first of all. I was wondering do you think we are in a bigger danger today, even for nuclear war, because there is so much misinformation, disinformation, fake news today, and the young generation that you are speaking about, it's so, keen to use social networks like, I don't know, TikTok and others. Do you think it's enough what we are doing in not letting them being trapped in misinformation? Thank you.
努力はしているんじゃないかと思いますけれども、私はデジタル時代の人間ではなくてですね、人間と人間は語り合って自分たちの希望や意思を固めるということをやってきました。ただ私が見ている限りは、今の若い人たちはですね、顔を見て、顔の表情の変化を見て、声の表情の変化を見てですね、お互いの考え方を確認し合うという場が非常に少なくなっているんじゃないか。人間関係の信頼関係が非常に希薄になりつつあるんじゃないかという心配を私はしております。私の世代が共通しているかもしれません。ですから、それだけに人と人の信頼関係を醸成するにはどうしたらいいだろうか。デジタルの時代バラバラで早く交通できる手段だけでなくて、本当にお互いがどういう希望を持っているかということが話し合える場を作っていかないといけないと思います。私は技術の進歩と合わせてそれができなければ残念ながらやはり人類は滅亡に向かうんではないか。ある種今少しずつ向かっているかもしれないというふうに思います。それだけに今の核情勢に対して世界中の若者が抵抗して運動を作っていくというのが必要ではないかというふうに思っています。
From Yonam City, South Korea. I'd like to ask you a question, Mr. Tanaka. Among the delegation of Nihon Hidankyo who will attend the ceremony here in Oslo, there are a Korean survivor and another Korean survivor's son and a survivor from Brazil. I'd like to ask you why you included them from abroad as well as Japanese survivors in the delegation, the reason, the meaning of it.
理由はやはり 今は韓国にいらっしゃる、あるいはブラジルにいらっしゃる、メキシコにはアメリカにもいらっしゃる、そういう人たちは日本で広島と長崎にいて、同じ原爆の被害にあって苦しんで、そして核兵器は持ってはいけない、使ってはいけないという
atomic weapons, and we have worked together to appeal to the world that never again this should happen. And those Korean hibakusha were like the double victims of the Japanese occupation and also the US atomic bombings. But in one demand of preventing the use of nuclear weapons, we have worked together for many years. からにはですね、一緒にやっぱり戦ってきた韓国の被爆者、それからブラジルに移住している被爆者、メキシコだとアメリカにも移住していらっしゃる被爆者、それからブラジルに移住している被爆者、メキシコだとアメリカにも移住していらっしゃる被爆者、その人との共同の戦いがあったんだということを皆さんに確認していただきたかったし、世界の人々にも被害者としての共同を作ってきたんだということを。 That's why we invited. I am Imamura of Kyodo Tsushin. You said that there are too many people to name. But before the awarding ceremony, what would you like to say to these people who have already? もう10年早かったらな、あなたたちの大部分はこの喜びをね、共有できたよという気持ちがあります。それは正直です。言っちゃいけないことかもしれないんですけど、そういう気持ちはあります。ですけれども、もう間違いなく彼らの運動もですね、 They are together with us, and the movement that they have built have been succeeded to us. So we'd like to say to them that you are the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, so that's my feeling.
で、有志がですね、亡くなったかなりの人たちの写真をこうまとめて持ってきて、この行事に参加するという計画を発表しておりましたので、大変私は感動して、皆さんにもう顔だけでも見ていただけるんじゃないかというふうに思います。
Of those people that I would like to show you, I want you to see.
はい、すいません、毎日新聞のアンと申します。
I'm from Mainichi newspaper.
ちょっと一点伺いたいんですけど。
One question I would like to ask, Mr. Tanaka, you also referred before to the fact that Nihon Hidankyo is working not only for the abolition of nuclear weapons, but also preventing any other wars from happening as well. I'm looking at the state compensation as well. I'd like to ask, within your message that you'll be sharing in Oslo, will you be speaking particularly about this state compensation issue? State compensation, as I mentioned briefly as well, is looking towards the government of Japan for its responsibility for the damages. And so this is what we believe that the Japanese state, the government, needs to take its responsibility. We're continuing to call upon this demand even today as well. However, there are of course many issues for other countries as well. So this is what we're calling to the Japanese government. However, in regards to we are having our demand specifically in regards to this particular damage. So whether the question, for example, about the United States and there is, of course, we do believe that America did create and use this weapon against humanity as well, but whether we are calling on the United States, there is a movement also to call for compensation there as well, or also looking at whether compensation, whether it is in a monetary way as well. We are not looking for monetary compensation. What we would like to see from the United States is for their abolishing their nuclear weapons. The compensation, the demand that we would like to make on the United States is for them to get rid of their nuclear weapons. So the form of what we are hoping to see from each of the different countries is different. However, we hope that each of these different countries will take their responsibility, and this is what we would like to call for all people to work towards this as well. Does that answer your question? I'm from Nagasaki Radio. This award, there are many, of course, both the citizens and the hibakusha of Nagasaki are very honored by this. However, there are many hibakusha who are still suffering greatly today as well. I would like to ask your message, or if you have something you would like to say to the hibakusha of Nagasaki. So I'm not, in regards to this Nihon Hidankyo, is, of course, working with people who were in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, people who were suffering as a result of the atomic bombs dropped on both of these cities. So the composition of Hidankyo is formed by different organizations in, well, there's 47 different prefectures within Japan, and so we're working together. It's a confederation of the different local organizations of Hibakusha in each of these prefectures, and we are forming the overall Congress, bringing all of these groups together to appeal both to the Japanese government and to the world as well. So not necessarily for specifically, we do not divide between people who are from Nagasaki or from Hiroshima. Within Nihon Hidankyo, there are of course Hibakusha from Hiroshima, from Nagasaki as well. We do not make a distinction. So perhaps I'm not sure if I understood the reasoning behind this question. If you could explain a little bit more about what it is that you wanted to ask in regards to Nagasaki?
今もまだ苦しんでいる被爆者の方がたくさんいるという中で、
today, but I think that the awarding of the Nobel Prize was a great encourage to them. So a message to these hibakusha who are still struggling. So a message to them is, well, this is something which can provide a new hope for us as well. So I would like to say to them, let's continue to do what we can until we realize what we are demanding for. This is, of course, also for, there are many hibakusha in Hiroshima and Nagasaki as well, so I hope that we can work together with them to realize what we are appealing for. In regards to the number of people, of course, there are the most in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but they're all over Japan as well and beyond.
Hi, Nora Booley from Reuters. I'm over here. I would like to return to your opening statement where you said you feel threatened that the sort of threat of nuclear weapons use is being made lightly. And you mentioned Russia in particular. Do you have a specific message to President Putin? I know you said about the civilians and people in Russia, but do you have a specific message to the leaders in charge?
In regards to Mr. Putin, the message on behalf of Nihon Hidankyo, we would like to say nuclear weapons are things which must never be used. Using or the use of nuclear weapons, this act is something which would be against humanity. This is something that can be accepted, so we'd like to continue to raise our opposition. We have also sent a statement and words to Mr. Putin in regards to this on behalf of Nihon Hidankyo. President Putin, I don't think he truly understands what nuclear weapons are for human beings, what kind of weapons. I don't think he has even thought about this or understood this. Therefore, he is able to say these kind of things. So I think that how we can change his way of thinking is what we need to do to have him really understand what these are.
Witness would like to make a comment on this as well.
I think from the Norwegian Nobel Committee's point of view, our message to Putin and also to other nuclear power states is listen to the testimonies of the hibakusha. Listen to their stories. It is crucial for humanity to uphold the nuclear taboo, to stigmatize these weapons as morally unacceptable. And to threaten with them is one way of reducing the significance of the taboo, and it should not be done. And of course, to use them should never be done ever again by any nation on earth.
産経新聞の岸田と申します。こちらになります。田中さん、こちらになります。
My name is Kishida from Sankei Shimbun.
よろしくお願いします。明日授賞式が行われ
Tomorrow
まして、
the awarding ceremony will be held, and you will give the Nobel lecture.
何がどう変わると思いますか。また
And
どのように
what
世
do you
界では
think
変わってほしいと
will
思いますか。
change the world through after your Nobel
世界がどう変わるか
lecture?
というのは私には分かりません。
I don't know
確認する以外ないんですけど、どう変わってほしいかというのは最後に前の方に言いましたけれども、特別若い人たちがこれからの未来の社会をどういうふうにして切り開いていくのかと、このまま放っておけばですね、核兵器が使われて戦争になるというようなことが起こりかねないよということを皆さんが言ってるわけですから、そういうふうにならないように最大限の努力をしてく くださいと。それは若者だけでなくて私たちも含めて今生きてる限りですね、戦争が起こらない、特にとりわけ核戦争が起こらないように努力すること以外にないと思います。
especially the nuclear war should never happen.
すみません。読売新聞の柳田と申します。この度は受賞誠におめでとうございます。今回の受賞理由に関して質問させていただきたいんですが、委員長からご説明があった通り、今回核兵器を使ってはならないという概念を広めた、それを支えたということで受賞なさったわけですが、それを裏を返せば今の時点で核兵器があるのは仕方がないということを認めたことになって、核廃絶を訴えるという環境の皆さんがずっと訴えてきたことをちょっと一歩後ろに置いたというふうに捉えることもできるかと思います。なので、今回核兵器を使わないということに焦点が当たったということを率直にどう感じになったか、またその中でもやはり廃絶なくすということを訴え続ける意義はあるというふうにお考えか、そういうふうに伺えればと思います。
そういうご意見は皆何人かとかいろんな方から受けすることはあります。確かにタブーということからすればですね、遠い未来のことは考えないで、今やってはいけないことをやっちゃいけないんだということがタブーだというふうに理解されているということからすればね、私どもが核兵器は持ってもいけないし、持って使ったようだけでなくて持ってもいけないし廃絶しなければいけないというのはもう最初から確立しているわけで、その点については言及されてないんじゃないかということは私もその通り認めますけれども、委員長がそれ認めないことを考えられていたかということから考えればそうじゃなくて、当面は本当に使われそうだから使われないようにするというね、タブーが破壊されているいうことに対しても目を向けようじゃないかというふうに考えられたんじゃないかと私は前向きに考えていきたいと思っておりますけど、ここでは改めて言いますけれども、日本被団協は使われなければいいと、禁止されればいいというふうには考えております。だから今の禁止条約は廃絶へ向けての一歩だと考えております。だから本当に核兵器をなくすにはまだこんなに長くなっちゃいけないと思うんですけど、まだもう少し険しい道があると思います。それを頑張っていかなくちゃいけない。でもやっぱり今使っちゃいけないということはきちっと言わないと本当にそれが大きな核戦争のきっかけになってしまうことがありはしないかという
big nuclear war. Yes, we share the same concern with the Nobel Committee.
My name is Tachibana of Television Tokyo. I would like to ask about how you plan to use the prize money. We believe that it will be a large amount, which is, of course, going towards Nihon Hidankyo. And we have heard that it will be used for your future activities. We'd like to ask concretely what Hidankyo plans to put this towards. So this is something that we will be discussing from now within Nihon Hidankyo concretely, what our activities will be. So I think if I were asked what I personally hope that the funds will be used for, but as Nihon Hidankyo, we have not yet made a decision. We need to discuss this still in the future. But we hope that we can use this effectively for the future of humanity. That's as much as I can say.
すみません、NHK の富田です。
I am Tomita from NHK here in the back. So looking at the reality of the experience of the atomic bombings, Mr. Tanaka, you said before that perhaps words are not enough to describe fully the reality of this. You have had many questions from the international media who are very interested in your words today, and tomorrow you will be also giving your lecture, which of course will have many more people interested to hearing your words. So I would like to ask once again what you see about this opportunity to convey the reality to the world. As I mentioned, when we look at within dialogue between human beings, to understand really what nuclear weapons are, if we do discuss this more fully, then people will really know the reality of what these weapons are. People will see through and understand this. However, if we do not have this kind of dialogue, this conversation, people will not understand this. They will only exist just on the level of words that nuclear weapons are things which should not exist. We need to change this kind of environment, this situation. And what we can do in order to change this, I personally think that it comes down to people's sensibility. It's not just about logic, it's about how you can really feel this, to understand that this is something that cannot be done. If you use such weapons, this is not something which is a human act. So I think having this deep understanding through sensibility, through feelings is very important beyond just words. And so this can be, for example, through pictures, through video, through photographs, through music. So in order to move people's senses, there are many methods go beyond just words as well. So being creative and using these different methods, creating new methods as well, so that we can convey this in order for people to truly understand beyond just words what the reality. And so if people have their senses heightened and understood in this way, we will be able to then understand this on a different level, to really truly know and be certain as humans that nuclear weapons are things which cannot ever be used. I am from Nagasaki International Television. My name is Kato. Congratulations. Until now, the United States former President, Mr. Obama, for example, or ICANN, have also received the Nobel Peace Prize for nuclear-related issues in the past as well. And so looking at these past laureates, each of these times, people have said that they hope the prize will help the momentum towards a world free of nuclear weapons. However, we have perhaps not achieved this yet. But within the Hibakusha and your advancing age now as well, how do you position your awarding of the prize this year? What kind of opportunity do you hope that this will become at this timing? Well, the first thing I would say is the Nobel Peace Prize. We need to think about what the meaning of this. Of course, many people would think about this in a different way. However, as we look at the different laureates of the Nobel Prize until now and the role that they have played, people, the movement of Nihon Hidankyo, to reflect and to have more people interested in learning and understanding what our movement has been and is today as well. And from there, we will continue to appeal. We are, a group of people who have continued to appeal that we need to abolish nuclear weapons from this earth. I think people will pay more attention to this as well. President Obama, during his speech in Prague, at the time, I must say I was very moved by his speech at that time, having a president of the United States saying clearly that we do need to create a world free of nuclear weapons. And I believe that somewhere in himself, President Obama did, I think, had some opportunity to learn about the reality of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So, for example, looking at, there was an exhibition in Chicago at the time when he was running as a candidate for the election about the atomic bombing. Perhaps he had the chance to learn about that. However, during his 6 years as president, or was it more, for example, unfortunately, I became very disappointed. And he did come to Hiroshima eventually, but at the time, and there was words when he said that, the jet fell from the sky in a very sort of passive way, and this was something which we thought was very unfortunate, saying that this just fell. We were quite angered, actually, hearing about this, the fact that, is this all that he saw, the bomb from? This is to be very frank about our impression. Of course, well, President Obama is not currently the president, so I feel that I can say this, but this real understanding or recognition of nuclear weapons as a human, I think, rather than just as a political leader or as a president, as a human, I think we need to be honest and understand this.
Our time is running out, so we have time for 2 more questions. First, you.
Mr. Tanaka, congratulations. My name is Terada of TBS. You mentioned also from the media internationally before, there have been a lot of questions looking at the urgent situation in the world today. In your speech tomorrow, I would like to ask how you are feeling towards this when we see the interest of the world towards the words that you will be sharing in your lecture tomorrow. I'd like to ask about the weight of the responsibility you feel about the speech you'll be giving tomorrow. therefore I feel a very heavy sense of responsibility. I'm looking back at the words that I've written now and thinking, perhaps I could have said this in a different way, or maybe there was a different expression that I could have used, and there's some things that I wish I'd perhaps done in a different way when I wrote the speech as well. But I'm feeling quite anxious about tomorrow. But of course, we're in a press conference here today, so I'm trying in my words to convey the different messages. So I'm glad that I had another chance to speak with you all today, as well as the lecture tomorrow. But these words, of course, will remain, and so together with my testimony as well. But I think what was the most difficult part was, of course, this is the award to Nihon Hidankyo as an organization. So thinking about whether to make the speech as something as the organization, something more philosophical or even more literary. I think rather than being more philosophical, then it would be, well, how much to put my own personal experience, my personal belief in there, as well as the concrete information about Nihon Hidankyo and our history of the movement as well. I was thinking, about what the best way to approach as I was writing the lecture for that, but I can't say that I'm completely satisfied with what I have written. That's how I'm feeling at the moment. So if you have some questions afterwards, please feel free to talk to me after you've heard the speech. But if people say, well, at the press conference, this is what you said, if there's anything to add on, I hope you can look at it in that way.
One final question, yes.
I am from Hiroshima Home Television. My name is Tachikawa. Once again, congratulations. So usually I am working as a reporter in Hiroshima and looking at the movement to get rid of, to reduce and also to ensure that nuclear weapons will not be used. Unfortunately, the world situation is perhaps going in the other direction. We hear voices of people saying, even from Hibakusha, feeling concerned about whether this is really possible. However, when we see the media from around the world here today with their interests, so as someone from Hiroshima, I'm quite relieved to see the world's attention on this interest, or their interest on this issue now. So what would be your message, or what kind of reporting would you hope the international media could do in regards to nuclear weapons? And it may be difficult for you to say as someone who received the award, but in regards to your expectations to the Nobel Committee, if you have any words for them also. That's quite a difficult question. So I don't think that the situation is going backwards. The Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons being created is something that for us was a huge step forward. There was nothing before which would serve that kind of role. There was a non-proliferation treaty, but this is something which is quite biased in a way as well. And the nuclear weapon states also, it was something which they could appeal to other countries not to have nuclear weapons. That was the purpose of this. However, the NPT itself was also not fully implemented as well. Therefore, and there was also no clear legal step towards actually banning nuclear weapons, which we believe was an incredible step forward. So, of course, the nuclear weapon states will resist this. And this is also including Japan as well. Of course, there is this resistance from them, but showing them for the citizens of the world, of each of these countries, to show them that their resistance is wrong. So for citizens to appeal to their own governments is what is important now. And so in that sense, our being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize this time, and also the words from the Nobel Committee as well in regards to the reason for us, is something that we believe can be used as the foundation. And I think it's been really fully understood or taken on by them as well. But it is not only prohibition that is enough as well. As Hibakusha, nuclear weapons should not only be prohibited, but we want to create a world that is free from both nuclear weapons and from war. We are calling to create a world with no nuclear weapons and no war as well. This is the future which we are calling for, and for that purpose, this is why when we think, even when there are no Hibakusha still on this earth, looking towards the world, for people to be able to look back and say, this is the kind of word. And so I hope that the media can also play the role in conveying this message to many people.
Then the time is out, so the press conference is ended. And thank you to Mr. Frydnes and Mr. Tanaka. And thank you for your questions.